Okay. Do I regret the 4 years that I spent at the University of Southern California? Yes. What up? It's Mama Shelbs. I'm just gonna preface this video by saying that it's not entirely USC's fault that I did not enjoy my time there. It's only partially their fault. There are some major things I did not vibe with. I'll get into that later. I also want to start off by saying that there were good memories at USC, and if I glean those good memories and I isolate them from my USC experience as a whole, I smile and I laugh. And even though I was a shitty student overall, I'll definitely get into that later, there were teachers specifically in the USC School of Dramatic Arts, especially my writing teachers and my acting teachers throughout my last year and a half at USC, who armed me with knowledge that I am and forever will be grateful for. If you're watching this, you know who you are. If there's anything positive that I got out of USC, it is the knowledge that you gave me. So thank you so much for that. That being said, I have a lot of regrets, a lot. If you went to USC and you loved your time there and you look back on your USC experience with nothing but fondness, that's great. I hope that USC made you a better person. This video isn't for you though. I'm making this video for me because my mistakes from college had been weighing on me for the past several years and I just need to put it all out there. And I'm also making this video for anyone applying to college right now, but especially the kids who are in their senior year of high school and deciding where they want to go to college, because it's a big life decision and a lot of you are making that decision while you're still teenagers. I remember being 18 years old and thinking I was a full-grown adult, which okay, legally I was. Legally, you are an adult at 18 years old. But at the end of the day, 18-year-olds are still kids. Some of you are even younger than 18 years old and deciding on where to go to college. And that's wild. Like, you're a kid. And like, don't get me wrong, I have learned a lot from teenagers on how to be a good human being and how to update with the times and what's appropriate to say, how to be respectful. And I have mad respect for all of you, and you're all so intelligent and tolerant. But at the end of the day, you're still teenagers. A decade ago, I was in your shoes and I seriously fucked up back then. And I've decided to reveal all of what I'm gonna reveal in this video because I don't want anyone else fucking up in the same way that I did. And I don't want anyone looking back on 4 entire years of your life with deep regret. No one should look back on their college experience and who they were in college and feel what I'm feeling: disgust, regret, shame, nausea. At the end of the day, I was the biggest problem. I was the main reason I regret my college years. Yes, I do have problems with USC. No, I certainly do not think it is the greatest school on the planet. No, I certainly do not think that people who have a USC degree are automatically better than the rest of the world's population. But I regret college because of me. I was incredibly insecure. I was the most toxic I've ever been. I was so ignorant, and my ignorance showed in more ways than one, and I hurt people. I won't let the mistakes I made in college define who I am today. However, I always own every single one of my mistakes, and I always correct my behavior so I never hurt anyone by making those same mistakes again. And if talking about my mistakes helps other people not make the same mistakes that I did, then I'm gonna talk about it, because that means less people getting hurt. It means less people choosing a college for superficial reasons. It means more people living their lives to the fullest rather than half-assing their way through 4 years of college. And by the way, half-assing is more than I did at USC. I did pretty much the bare minimum to get that degree, but let me just start from the beginning. After years of reflecting on college, I can trace everything back to elementary and middle school. How's that related, right? Well, I was bullied as a kid. I'm not saying that for you guys to feel bad for me. I'm just telling you this because being bullied made me vow to myself to be super successful in the future and prove to the people that bullied me that I was better than them. Part of that success came immediately after elementary and middle school. I got into a competitive college preparatory high school. It's exactly as it sounds. It preps you for college, but like super duper preps you. So the academics were rigorous. There was an obsession with the SAT and the ACT. There was so much pressure pressure to have as many extracurricular activities as possible. But despite the pressure, I actually really enjoyed high school. I had amazing friends and I was heavily involved in dance and theater. My high school had a phenomenal performing arts department. I got lead roles in musicals. I was on the dance team all 4 years. I was captain of the dance team junior year and senior year. I performed at school functions. I performed at events all over the Bay Area. I felt like I was already proving to the middle school bullies that I was on the road to success. But I was also delusional in high school, and I seriously believed that I would have to drop out midway because I thought it was my destiny to win American Idol or The Voice and break into the entertainment industry that way, or I thought I was going to book a huge movie or a series regular on a big TV show. I'm not even kidding, by the way. Like, I actually thought these things would happen, and midway through high school, when none of those things happened, is when I started seriously thinking about college. I never really gave college much thought before then, but when I did think about college, I always pictured myself at NYU. From when I was 10 years old, New York City was the city where I wanted to end up eventually. So I thought if I ever did end up going to college, I would end up at NYU. But in my junior year, when I started seeing college as the next step in my road to success, I started paying attention to the colleges that my schoolmates were getting into. And I would constantly hear about kids getting into Harvard, Dartmouth, Stanford, UCLA, UC Berkeley, yada, yada, yada. As much as I loved my high school experience, it definitely was one of those high schools that pushes students to go to a 4-year university. And the bigger the name, the better. And though I was finally thinking about college, I still wanted to pursue a career in the music industry. And that's when USC got on my radar. I heard that the USC Thornton School of Music's popular music vocal performance program was one of the best music programs in the country. And I had also heard stories of people who had been in the program and become hugely successful in the music industry. And USC was never on my radar before my junior year of high school. In fact, the only thing that I vaguely remembered about USC was during a Cinderella story when Austin Ames's dad would talk about it. And even then, it went over my head. When USC got on my radar, I started paying attention to the way people at my school, teachers, students, parents would talk about USC. And from what I heard from them, USC was a huge deal. It was a flashy 4-year prestigious university, and pretty much overnight, USC became my #1 choice. I've never really been spectacular at school, but I did step up my academic game and became a better student than I ever had been in my entire life. I enrolled in SAT prep courses. I made sure that I was on top of all my extracurricular activities. I made sure my singing voice was always on point every single day. On multiple occasions, my family and I drove from the Bay Area to Los Angeles just so I could take voice lessons with one of the voice teachers in USC Thornton's popular music vocal performance program. I did all of this just so that I could get into USC, major in popular music vocal performance, be hugely successful in the music industry, and earn the respect of everyone who's ever known me pretty much. I took a tour of USC's campus for the first time in early 2012, and as soon as I stepped foot onto USC turf, I just immediately felt like I did not belong there, and I came back again a few months later to sing the national anthem at a USC baseball game, and again, it just felt wrong. Even then, I felt incredibly insecure and knew deep down that USC was not the right fit for me. And I was not expecting to get into USC, and I always had this amazing feeling about NYU. So I was fully picturing myself going to NYU and living my best life in New York City. And I actually did end up getting accepted to the Clive Davis Institute of Recorded Music at NYU. So going to NYU was just within my reach. But then I remember the last week of March 2013 scrolling through Facebook and reading the celebration posts from people in my high school class who had gotten into USC. And I remember reading the comments of people congratulating them. And I wanted so badly to be them because I wanted the praise and attention and respect. Then March 28th, 2013, I found out I got into USC and I was over the moon elated. But there was a catch, of course. course there was a catch. I found out that I got into USC as a spring admit, meaning that yes, I got into the school, but I wasn't officially a USC student until the spring semester of 2014. I felt like USC was saying, well, you're not good enough to start when the rest of the people your age are starting college, but I guess we'll allow you to come to USC. However, you have to start a semester later than everyone else in the spring. That's probably not what they were saying, by the way, but as an 18-year-old who wanted instant success, that's how I interpreted it, and it was one of the first things that chipped at my confidence. I also got in as undeclared and not as a music major. The whole point of me going to USC was to major in popular music vocal performance, but regardless, I was so excited that I actually got into USC, and I was so excited to brag about getting into USC. When I had to decline NYU's offer though, I was absolutely gutted. Deep down, I just knew that I was making a mistake. And by the way, I know that NYU is an incredibly prestigious, amazing school. I was just blinded by this idea of the USC Trojan family and Trojans helping Trojans, and how USC had this big, beautiful college campus and a football team and game days, even though the game of football has always bored me to stiffness, and how I would get the typical college experience. And I wanted to impress the people in my life who had been hyping up USC, and I knew that New York City would always be there after college, so I chose to go to USC. During the fall of 2013, I took classes at a community college, which I did not tell anyone because my high school classmates always shamed community college. And throughout that fall semester, I remember scrolling through Facebook posts and photos from my high school classmates who had already started at USC that fall semester. Sorry, I'm saying fall semester so much, but that's when this is taking place. Okay, so I remember seeing photos of them at USC and feeling super jealous of them. And I saw that a lot of them were in sororities and fraternities, and it looked like they were having a blast. And that's what gave me the idea to join a sorority once I got to USC. That's what put Greek life on my radar, and USC Greek life was hands down my biggest issue with USC, and also one of the most toxic environments that I have ever been in my entire life. Fast forward to January of 2014, I moved to Los Angeles to start school at USC, and I joined the first sorority that showed interest in me. And I just want to preface my USC sorority experience by saying that a lot of the girls I met through my sorority are really phenomenal human beings. That being said, USC Greek life is fucked up. At the time, only a few sororities were doing spring recruitment. Most sororities only did fall recruitment, but the sororities that were struggling with numbers also did spring recruitment. I met a few really great girls from the sorority Alpha Chi Omega, and they were also the only sorority that had a physical house on the row, so I decided to join. At USC, at least when I was there was a hierarchy in Greek life, so there were the top houses, the mid-tier houses, and the bottom houses. My sorority at the time was definitely considered a bottom house. Again, I was in the sorority Alpha Chi Omega, and the nickname people used to call us was Alpha Cow Omega. Also, just a side note, I had been struggling with body image and self-conscious about my body since I was 14 when a talent agent told me that I needed to lose weight. And that made me absolutely hate my body. I started to love my body in high school, but then when I got to USC, I hated my body again. Being body shamed by fellow USC students did not help at all. Also, I'm not sure if you've ever heard of the app Yik Yak, but that app was hugely popular during my freshman and sophomore year. And I hope that app is not in existence today, but the main purpose of the app was to anonymously post things. And it was an easy way to anonymously spread hate, especially if you were in a sorority or fraternity. And people just wrote the most cruel things about all the sororities, and fraternities too. But even in person, people in Greek life were assholes. People in top houses and even people in mid-tier houses were so condescending to people in houses like ours. I distinctly remember one of our sorority's philanthropy events in the fall of 2014. It was flag football, and everyone in our sorority was assigned to a different fraternity. I happened to be assigned to one of the top fraternities. I'm just gonna call them out by name and hope that they aren't as shitty as they used to be, but it was Sigma Chi. We visited their fraternity house throughout the week of our philanthropy event, which is normal for sororities to do. And every time we stopped by, they would just blatantly ignore us. Literally, we were at their house trying to sell them shirts for our event to raise money for domestic violence awareness. And the Sigma Chi boys would see us, turn sharply the other way, and shut themselves in their rooms until we were gone. In the morning of our flag football philanthropy event, we showed up at their house, which again is normal for sororities to do on the day of a philanthropy event. And again, they ignored us and shut themselves in their rooms. We were trying to get them up and out of there for over an hour, and the 5 Sigma Chi boys that we managed to bring over to the football field made a complete mockery of us. They kept taking idiotic Snapchats and sending it to people, probably their fraternity bros, and it was just horrendous. They ignored us throughout the entire event, and when they did talk to us, they were fucking rude. Also, throughout college, I constantly overheard frat boys saying abhorrent things about girls and what they wanted to do to girls. And one of my biggest regrets is that I just stood by and said nothing when what I should have done was report them. Like I said, I did meet incredible girls through Greek life, but honestly, looking back, my sorority experience did not really enhance my life in the long run. That's not to say that being in a sorority or a fraternity can't positively impact a person's life. And that's also not to say that there weren't fun memories with girls from my sorority. I just personally think that Greek life at USC is disgusting. I'm sure a lot of people agree with me. And I personally made a huge mistake by joining a sorority at USC and making that sorority a top priority for most of my USC years. Also, my sorority may have been a bottom house, but it was still part of a fucked up system. It was still superficial, especially during recruitment. Like I remember at the beginning of one fall semester, I was wearing black nail polish, and one of the girls in my sorority literally demanded that I change my nail polish color, saying that we're not the goth sorority. And when I didn't change my nail polish color, I actually refused to change it. She went to one of my friends and asked my friend to ask me to change my nail polish color. I did end up changing it because I did not want the drama. I changed my nail polish color to white. We had to have all of our outfits for recruitment approved before we could actually wear them. We also had to follow this rule called the 2/3 rule, and we were encouraged to implement that rule even after recruitment. Basically, the 2/3 rule meant that you had to have 2 out of 3 things checked off: hair, makeup, outfit. Hair, makeup, outfit. So if you had if your hair wasn't done, then you had to have a cute outfit and your makeup done. If your makeup wasn't done, then you had to have a cute outfit and your hair done. If your outfit wasn't cute, then you had to have your hair done and your makeup done. So 2 out of 3 things checked off. We really pushed the 2/3 rule because we were a bottom house and we were trying to climb the social ladder. And I say we because I actively participated in this too. I was superficial too. I pushed the 2/3 rule too. I actively participated in this fucked up system too. And I guess now is a good time to delve even deeper into how I was a horrible person in college. I was a terrible person all around. First, I was a terrible student. Again, I did not end up majoring in popular music vocal performance at USC because USC Thornton rejected me twice. I auditioned during my senior year of high school, and when I got my acceptance letter to USC, I got in as undeclared. Everyone I knew that I had auditioned for USC Thornton, and so I straight up lied to people and said and justified me not getting into Thornton by saying, oh, Thornton couldn't take me because I was a USC spring admit, and that's halfway through their academic year, so I can't be a music major in the spring semester. Some bullshit like that. But in reality, I didn't get in because I wasn't good enough. And I auditioned again during the spring semester of 2014, my first semester at USC, and USC Thornton rejected me again. In a way, it was a blessing in disguise because looking back, I did not have the chops to make it in the music industry. I was so delusional in high school thinking that I would be a pop star, but I did not have what it takes. And since I had been doing theater throughout my entire life, I declared my major as theater. I thought I would excel at USC that way. Nope. I did not audition for any shows that the USC School of Dramatic Arts put on because I was so insecure in myself and intimidated by my classmates who I thought were all supremely talented. I thought auditioning would be a waste of time because I firmly believed that it was my fate to not get cast in any shows at USC. I also did not give a shit about my grades. I would constantly get called into standards for my sorority because my GPA was so low and I did very little to improve my GPA. I also withdrew from multiple classes. I failed multiple classes. I regularly skipped classes, even theater classes. I was a theater major and I've always loved theater, but even those classes I was failing. When I did go to class, I was so intimidated by my classmates who were way smarter than me. I very rarely participated in class. One time I even slept through a final for one of my theater classes, and I sprinted to campus and begged like a third of the USC School of Dramatic Arts staff to let me take the final because I was barely passing that class. I missed an entire midterm for another theater class. The thing about that midterm was that I knowingly skipped it and I did not care that I skipped it. And the only reason I was able to take it was because the teacher happened to be talking about midterm grades while I was in his office doing extra credit work for that class because I was failing, and I had to admit to him that I did not take the midterm. He was so clearly annoyed with me, rightfully so, but he was kind enough to let me study for 2 hours that same day and then take the midterm. Of course, in my non-theater classes, I was not doing too hot either. I barely graduated in December of 2017. Barely. There was this freaking science GE that I had withdrawn from 3 different times throughout my 4 years at USC. I put it off until the very last semester. I was doing so poorly in that science GE that I feared I would fail and not be able to graduate. Thankfully, I was able to pass that class with a D, and then I was able to officially graduate. You're probably wondering why I didn't just transfer or drop out if I hated USC so much. I actually did consider transferring to NYU in 2015, which was my sophomore year. However, in the span of my freshman year, my grades were already so bad and I hadn't accomplished anything at USC other than joining a sorority in which I did pretty much nothing positive. I didn't want to go through another college application process only to get rejected in the end. And I stayed at USC all 4 years because I didn't want to drop out because I felt like that would be looked down upon by people in my life. Oh my God, okay. I need to breathe, okay. I was also a terrible friend in college. I was constantly flaking on plans. I was insensitive to my friends' problems. They would tell me their problems. I'd appear sympathetic, and then I'd talk shit about them. I was super gossipy and mean and fake and two-faced. And I also hurt people in college just by being an ignorant asshole. I said racially insensitive things on multiple occasions to one of my college best friends who is a Black woman. I was microaggressive throughout my entire friendship with her, and she was always such a good friend to me. I can blame USC and Greek life all I want, but ultimately I only have myself to blame for the way I treated people. I was a toxic bitch, and I put my friends on the receiving end of my toxicity. My friends actually did end up teaching me a lot about the world, and they helped lessen my ignorance, but still, I was such a shit friend to them, and they didn't deserve that. On one hand, yes, I am a better person because I learned from my mistakes. I still have insecurities, of course, and sometimes I do get snappy when I'm in bitch mode, but I do my best to speak up for myself and for other people. I do my best to treat every single person with kindness and compassion. I am always mindful now of my words and my actions and creating a space around me in which every single person feels safe and respected, and I'm constantly educating myself on what's going on in the world so that I can do anything and everything that I can to make the world better. On the other hand, I was the exact opposite in college, and I should not have put people on the receiving end of my toxicity and ignorance and insecurities. Looking back, I feel selfish. First, I'm selfish because I took a spot away from someone who really deserved to be at USC, someone who had wanted to go to USC their entire life, worked really hard, got on the wait list, and because I chose to go, they could not go. And not only did I take that spot back in 2013, but I took up space for 4 entire years when what I should have done was drop out of school entirely and made room for a person who really wanted to be there and deserved to be there. And I am also selfish because my mom saved up money for a really long time to send me to college. I am extremely lucky to not have any student loans because my mom could afford to send me to college. And I am extremely selfish because I slacked off for 4 years at a place that was never the right fit for me. If I had gone to NYU, the money that my mom had saved for years would have been put towards a place where I wholeheartedly believe I would have excelled. But at the very least, I should have just dropped out of college, and the money that my mom saved for college would have been put towards something else. I think about how hard my mom worked to send me to college, and I just feel like throwing up. I did promise my mom that I would pay her back one day, so I'm going to pay her back one day. Also, my dad helped me with my college admissions videos. And by the way, neither one of my parents forced me to go to USC. Had I chosen to go to NYU, they would have supported that. I know it's a bold thing to say that I wish I could go back and change everything, but I wish I could go back and change everything. I wish I had gone to NYU. I think had I gone to NYU, I still could have grown into the person that I am today, but I would have hurt less people along the way because I would have been in a place where I felt secure and confident and motivated, and I wouldn't have let my insecurities completely take over. To be completely honest, the Trojan family has not helped me at all. The USC name has not given me a leg up and opportunities like I thought it would. If you decide to go to college, please make sure that you actually want to go to college. Make sure that the college you are choosing because you can't picture yourself spending 4 years anywhere else. If you choose to go to college, please make sure that you are committed to attending your classes and excelling in your classes. There are so many amazing places in the world to get your education. And please, please, please do not do what I did and choose a college based on how flashy the name of the school is, how the name would sound to your friends, to your parents' friends, to your middle school bullies. I think it's pretty obvious at this point that my plan to prove I was better than my middle school bullies eventually backfired because I ended up slacking off in college and being a bully. Because I can't go back and choose NYU and change everything about my life, I try to look at the positives. As I mentioned in the beginning of the video, there are good memories from my USC years. I had fun nights out and foodie adventures around Los Angeles and Disney days. I sang to Ian Somerhalder during my very first semester at USC. That was literally the highlight of my entire USC experience. Will Ferrell spoke at my graduation, which was also pretty rad. My 2 writing teachers at the USC School of Dramatic Arts reignited my love for writing, and I am forever grateful to them for that. I'm grateful for all of my acting teachers that I had at the USC School of Dramatic Arts. There was one acting teacher in particular who I had during my freshman year, my junior year, and my senior year who really, really made a positive impact on me. Also, had I gone to NYU, I would not have been able to visit my family as much as I did throughout my college years. My parents were going through a divorce, and being just an hour flight or 6-hour drive away from my family made it relatively easy for me to visit home, especially during that very difficult time. I also think that because I was such a bad friend and ignorant asshole in college, I have all the more reason to be the best friend I can be to my friends now, and also best human I can be. I am constantly checking myself so that I'm not hurting people the way I did in college. My initial goal was to post this video on March 28th, 2023, which marked exactly 1 year since I found out I got accepted to USC. I thought it would be really poetic. But since I am revealing a lot of nasty stuff about myself in this video, I've been putting this off for months. So it's going up later than I initially planned. But at least it's up now, and hopefully you all got something out of this and this helps you make better life decisions. The world will be a better place if you do not make the same mistakes that I did. If you stuck around this long and you learned some life lessons from this video, I appreciate you. I hope that this made you want to be a better person. Y'all are really pretty, and remember to spread love, kindness, and positivity. Ciao for now.